Hey guys, it's Sammy. Welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I have a story time for you, or as a lot of you like to know about, tea. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know all my social media links are down below, as well as a PO box that I've had for a while. I just keep forgetting to mention, so if you ever have anything that you ever want to send me, it is down below as well. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So as some of you may or may not know, I went to Cabo San Lucas and I posted a video last week about it, and it was a vlog, and I had a lot of fun on that trip. It was really nice. I was able to unplug. It was really good, and I really needed it, to be honest, because I was off social media for a few weeks, and it was just really nice. So getting into it, the way there, it was okay. International travel, it is what it is, and it is what it's always going to be. The trip on the way back, okay, yeah, well, if you haven't watched my Cabo vlog, maybe wait until after you watch this, because maybe end on a more positive note, because it just sucked. So traveling to Mexico, it really wasn't that bad in my opinion, compared to last time, because I've been a couple times and we have a timeshare. So basically we just get to go throughout the, it's really hard to explain. But speaking of timeshares though, it is kind of important, because when I arrived at the airport, what they do is they systematically split you up in order to try to sell you a timeshare or do this, that, or the other, right? It was really difficult though, because my stepdad, he knows, and he's done it so many times before, and it had been a while since I've gone, so I completely forgot about it. So right when you get out of security, there are two ways to go through to get out of the airport to actually, exit the building. And both of them are timeshare central, which basically means that they are trying to sell you rental cars, trying to sell you a hotel, trying to sell you timeshares, which basically, just are a cheaper way of going to Mexico or wherever it is you want to go to for a cheaper rate. But obviously you go more often, so then you end up spending more money, but you spend less because of the time. It's really hard to explain, but it's what they want to sell you because of where we went and because of how touristy it is and always probably will be. So we get there and they split up, me and the friends that we were with and all that, and I was so confused because my mom got stopped by this guy, and he kept pointing over there. He was like, no, your family went over there. And I was really mad because I saw for a fact they went in the other direction. So I grabbed my mom and I started walking, and it was awful because we're two women in a very touristy place, and you just get stopped by a whole bunch of gentlemen who are like, wait, no, wait. And it's like they're literally body blocking you when you're trying to actually get out of the airport. It was this whole ordeal, and it was honestly just, it's not fun. So I just want someone, if you ever international travel, especially to somewhere that's very touristy, so like Cabo San Lucas for example, keep that in mind. Please keep it in mind and make sure that you do your research of where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to talk to, and just avoid anybody who's trying to sell you something. Before all that happens, I was going through the security checkpoint, which is what everyone has to do, so customs basically, and I was pulling my bag and I realized my bag broke. So the wheel, it was broken, and I was like, this is why people, I absolutely loved it, because someone threw my bag and it broke the wheel. And so that was that, and it was fun having to travel back home. Anyway, so my big point was when we were traveling back home. So you already know all the in-between stuff, which is all the great stuff, and it was fantastic. However, the way back home, so our car from the hotel was gonna pick us up at 12 or so, and our flight I think was around 3. So we definitely had a few hours because the hotel and the airport were not that far apart. So we had a few hours to just kind of, get through security and then be done with it. So after we get through security, Cabo San Lucas is a very touristy place. So, like previously, when arriving, when you're leaving, they want to try to sell you things before you even want to leave, right? So right after security, there is a large store just jam-packed full of Mexican junk, whatever it is you want to buy, before you leave the country. And it's really bad because it's not that people are necessarily stopping you, it's that people want to stop and look at these things because they don't realize that everyone just wants to sell you something. So for me, I was getting really annoyed trying to actually get to our gate because people just kept like stopping in front of us when we were walking trying to get out, because there's only one main walkway and people just kept either like stopping or going and then coming, and it was just this whole mess and ordeal. And eventually my parents stopped and wanted to get stuff and I was like, fine, whatever. So I waited outside of the large store until, you know, they were done. So then we finally get to our gate and that's no issue at all, and we realized that the flight that was coming in was coming from Seattle, obviously, which is where I was flying back to, and it was a 40-minute delay because we were waiting for either the pilots or we were going back on the same plane. Either way, we were waiting for, you know, someone from Seattle to come down so we could go back to Seattle, because obviously that's where they live and it's how it works. So we had a 40-minute delay. We have a connecting flight back to Seattle, and it was even more annoying because from Cabo San Lucas we were going to fly to San Jose, and then from San Jose we were going to fly back to Seattle, all on the same plane, right? So the reason that you do a stop is, one, so it's cheaper, and two, so that they can, you know, fuel up the plane or whatever it is that they need to do for maintenance or whatever was going on. However, we stayed with the same flight crew, so it was the same plane, it was just doing a stop, but because we did a stop on US soil from, you know, Mexico, we had to go through customs. And when I tell you, because we had a 40-minute delay, it was already kind of awkward because it does take a little bit to go through customs, especially entering the US. In my opinion, it does not take as long to go into Mexico as it does coming into the US, because the US has a lot more, I don't necessarily want to say stricter policies, but there's definitely a lot more people going into the US than going into Mexico, so there's a lot more. We had 4 other planes that landed at the exact same time as us to go through customs, which made sense because they wanted to get everyone going at the same time, so they matched up international flights. I don't even know, but it was, customs is really a lot, and I take customs very seriously. Like, obviously you're not allowed to have phones or anything like that, so going through customs was absolutely no issue at all. So we're finally through customs technically, but we go to the terminal to wait for our luggage. We already have a 40-minute delay, so our flight, instead of, you know, having a couple hours, we had about an hour or so, right? So we go to the terminal waiting for our bags, and if you don't know this, bags coming and entering different countries have to go through another security checkpoint like we did when we entered Mexico. So when you're going to different countries, you're not allowed to bring in certain things like meat, fruit, and things like that. I don't know the exact reason why, but my suspicion is because of pesticides or if they have bugs on them or anything like that. So you're not allowed to bring those items back and forth. We brought fish because we went fishing, and so we brought that back. Fish is fine because they don't carry like the bugs or the pesticides, obviously, because it's from the ocean. So the fish was fine. So when we were going through, obviously when we were going through into Mexico, we had grapes that we brought and we totally forgot about it, but we saw the sign that said you can't have fruit, so we were like, oh, because we didn't eat them, and we typically were going to eat them on the flight over, so it was fine. So we had to throw those out. And then on the way back, we knew why. So doing that, they have 2 different types of terminals at most airports depending on, you know, the size. So we were flying into San Jose, California, which is a pretty sizable airport. So they have 2 types of terminals. They have domestic and they have international. So domestic is obviously if you're flying domestically, which is in the US, within the US. So if you're flying, I don't know, from Texas to San Jose, Florida to San Jose, anybody that's going to San Jose from the United States is a domestic flight. International, obviously, is if you're flying out of country or, you know, wherever continent, whatever it is at that point. So when you're flying internationally, all of your baggage has to go through the international customs security because they want to check for those types of items that I listed. I know there's a whole bunch more, I just don't remember what they are, but the ones that I do remember are obviously the meat and the fruit. So we're waiting at the terminal, right? And our bags haven't showed up yet, and we're so confused. So it's about 20 minutes, right? And that typically was how long it took for us to get our bags when we went to Mexico. And so I was like, okay, this is no issue, this is no problem. And then finally, about 10 more minutes passed, so it's been 30 minutes. And we have a connecting flight, right? And we haven't even gone through customs security yet. We just went through customs, which basically means that they check your paperwork, but we haven't actually gone through the security part of it. Like security, like you know what airport security is, that's what it is. However, customs security is a lot more than that. They don't care about your pre-TSA, they don't care about any of that. You go through security like any other person would because it's international. And so we still had a connecting flight to make, and we probably had an hour, but by now we had half an hour to make our flight. So then finally everyone's getting anxious, and we see everyone in the terminal, and from what I could tell, a lot of people in that terminal had connecting flights because we did, and it's cheaper if you fly into San Jose and then go somewhere else. Like it was cheaper to do that. And so we're looking around, everyone starts talking amongst each other, and everyone's looking around, everyone's trying to figure out what's going on, and all of a sudden everyone starts talking a little louder because obviously everyone's getting upset. And my family and the people that I was with were getting even more upset because we needed our bags to go through security. You have to legally take your luggage through customs security, and if you don't, it's like you are legally responsible for your luggage. And so we had to take our bags that we checked and all that stuff into customs security and then recheck our old bags that were checked previously, but you have to redo security all over again basically. So it's about 40 minutes into waiting for our luggage now at this point, and we're stuck because we legally cannot enter the country technically until we have our luggage and bring it through security ourselves. And so we finally get someone to come over. One of the I don't know, one of the staff members, she basically said, we unfortunately have not been able to locate your luggage. I'm looking at this lady and looking at my family and then explaining to my mom what's going on, and just finally freaking out because we are unable to locate your luggage. Translates loosely into we lost your luggage. They have no idea where anybody who is in that current terminal waiting for their luggage, they have no idea where any of those bags are. Everyone's like, are you freaking kidding me? You lost our luggage. So then we're all waiting, we're all anxious, we're all freaking out, we're not entirely sure what's going on, and we're all probably having a freak out because no one wants to miss their flight, right? So we finally, another 10 minutes passes, and you know, we get some staff members and all of them are like, it's okay, you can go through customs without your bags. And I obviously didn't know about the law where you have to take your luggage through customs. Like, you legally are required to take your luggage through customs yourselves. I didn't know that. However, my stepdad did, and he was telling us that. I wasn't entirely too sure because the staff members were telling us this, and that. And then finally, we get a customs officer who comes over and he's like, no, you are not allowed to go through customs without taking your luggage through. You are legally required to take your luggage through customs yourself. So that cleared up the air. However, we had probably like 15 minutes until our flight, and all of us are freaking out. Like, we don't know what to do. And finally, what happens is they locate our luggage, and they had to shut down the whole terminal. Because what had happened was they sent our luggage that was international through domestic terminals. And the reason for it being really bad is because, like I said previously, if you take your luggage through security, it has to get checked for meat or grapes or anything like that. Whereas if it goes through domestic terminals, none of that gets looked for, because obviously you're allowed to take that within the country. And anybody could have taken whatever was in the suitcases through the country if it hadn't been checked internationally. I hope that makes sense, because if it doesn't, because we all knew what was going on. When you travel internationally, you were required to check off, and you're supposed to fill out these forms. You're supposed to have your luggage checked and everything. So obviously everyone who's traveling internationally knows what's up. So everyone else got really upset about it too, because they had to shut down all the terminals, which basically means it could have taken a little bit longer to actually get our luggage to us. So because they shut down the terminals, they had to locate our luggage, which they had found, and it was in the domestic terminal, which means they had to take it over to the international terminal. I think probably about like 10 minutes after, our luggage showed up like that. All of the luggage started flowing through because they needed to make sure that they had all the bags. So I was traveling with my stepdad, my stepsister, and my mom, and then me. We were bringing 2 family friends. So me, my mom, and my stepdad had all of our luggage and everything that we checked. My stepsister didn't check anything, so she was already fine. And then we were waiting on our family friends' luggage. Their luggage still wasn't arriving, right? So we do not have a lot of time for a connecting flight. And what was really irritating is a lot of the staff members basically were contradicting themselves. We asked one individual and they basically said no, they will wait for your flight, and then we asked another one that said no, unfortunately we don't do that, that's not our policy. And I was getting real irritated because it was not our fault that they lost our luggage, okay? So we're finally going and we grab our bags. We left our family friends alone because we wanted to make sure we got to the flight so we could hold the frickin' plane. So we get our luggage and we're finally going through customs security, which means we have to send all of our bags through this one big container. And we had one bag that had the fish in it, right? And so this lady started looking through it, and all of a sudden my stepsister remembers, oh, we have fish, and she was like, oh my god, okay, and then she just like let us go, because obviously that shows up and it can look like, I don't know, illegal substances, whatever it might be. So we finally go through the international security, which means we had to go through security. So we finally go through. They don't care if you have pre-TSA or anything. They don't care. You have to take off your shoes, you have to take off your jacket, you have to do this and that. I was a little irritated because I had forgotten about it, because I did the extra background check for pre-TSA and everything like that, and you have to pay for that. And so I was a little irritated by that because my mom has it, my stepdad has it, my stepsister doesn't have it, I don't think, because she doesn't travel a lot, but I have it too. And so I was getting a little anxious, and my mom was getting a little anxious because we were rushing through security trying to at least make our flight. So we had to recheck our luggage, and then we had to go through security, and we finally are getting through. And my mom was like, what about pre-TSA, what about pre-TSA, because she was wearing sandals. She really didn't want to have to walk barefoot through security. I wouldn't either. The floor is gross. I'm so glad I was wearing socks with my sandals. Okay, by the way, if you don't like socks and sandals, just shish. This is not your time, this is my time. Anyway, so we finally get through security, and my stepsister was such in a rush that she forgot her bag on the other side. So she couldn't just walk back through and get her bag and put it on the, I don't even know what it's called, but it's the thing that moves, and I don't know what it's called, but it's the thing that moves that gets your bags through security. She forgot to put it on that. So we finally had to ask a gentleman, like we were yelling, we were like, hey, could you please put the bag on the carousel? I think that's what it's called. On, you know what I'm talking about, on the thing, so she could finally get it, because she totally forgot that it was there. And so we were finally all rushing. My mom was like so mad. She was yelling. She was like, come on, we need to go. And I feel like probably what she could have done is she probably could have just like ran, because she was the first one who went through. She could have just gotten all of her stuff and ran, and then, you know, held the plane, because that's what we were gonna do for the other two. But she just kept yelling at us. We were like, oh my god, we don't know what to do. And for regular security, you have to basically take out anything that's bigger than a cell phone. You have to take out all of your liquids if you have any. Even if they're like small enough, you still have to take them out. So I basically and my stepsister had to take out all of our stuff, and then we didn't put any of it back in our bags. We just carried it. I put my backpack on my back, I carried everything, grabbed my suitcase, and I went and I ran upstairs. We didn't bother with an elevator. We went, and because by this time our flight was gonna be departing, not boarding, departing. Like, it was going to leave without us. We're finally running through the airport, trying to get to our gate, trying to make our flight. We finally get to the gate, and my stepsister, she starts breathing really heavily. I didn't know this at the time until she told me after she stopped having her little mini attack, is she has asthma. She cannot run like that. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, is she gonna have an asthma attack? I don't know what to do. She starts calming down and she's like, no, it's okay. It's not enough for my inhaler. And I was like, if this is not enough, I can't imagine what would actually happen if you actually did have an asthma attack. Like, I can't imagine that at all. We get to the gate, we find out they delayed the flight. Do you know how angry I was? I ran through an airport. I was stopped by a customs police officer multiple times telling me, no, just go with your family, because I had questions, okay? I had places I need to go. I wanted to go home, okay? I am a US citizen. Obviously, I'm here at home, so obviously we're fine. But I am a US citizen. I have rights. I wanted to go home, okay? I was so over it. So when I found out that the flight had been delayed, I was so mad. The flight had been delayed out of courtesy an extra half an hour for those of us who are still in customs. You know, it would have been nice if someone had told us that, okay? Because everyone saw us rushing through. Everyone saw us trying to, you know, do the little things like scan our passports and take out my laptop and my iPad and all the other things that I didn't want to have to do and run. For those of you who know me, you know I don't run, okay? I don't really exercise. It is a gift that I was given that I don't necessarily have to. High metabolism, thanks Dad. But like, I don't run, okay? And a lot of people just, yeah. I was angry, alright? I was thoroughly over it. I just wanted to go home at this point, okay? So the flight had been delayed, so then we're finally waiting to get back onto our flight to just go home. But I'm not done, okay? I was informed in the terminal that our power was out. If you don't know, I live in the middle of nowhere, which basically means I have no cell service. So if the power is out, I don't have internet. So it's just this whole mess, and I was really over it. I wanted to go home, go in my bed, read a book for whatever. So our internet was out for a few days because they eventually got the power back on, but they couldn't get the internet up and working for at least a few days. So I didn't have internet for a few days, so that thoroughly sucked. It's okay though. It's been a couple weeks later. I'm fine. We're chilling. I hate international travel now. I say that and then I'm gonna want to go to, I don't know, I really want to go to London, like really freaking bad. I want to see Big Ben. Or honestly, I'd really want to go to Amsterdam. That's been on my bucket list for like ever. But yeah, if you're wondering why my glasses are on my head, it's because the light reflects and I'm really not in the mood to do that. I don't necessarily need the light. It just gives a little bit more, it makes me look more pasty. Okay, no, that's not what I mean. It gives me more light so you guys can actually see me. So yeah, that's my international story. I really don't know how long this video is gonna be because I had to explain a few things pretty thoroughly. It's fine. Anyways, if you guys are still around, thank you so much for watching. I seriously appreciate it. If you guys have any kind of video requests and whatnot that you want to see from me, let me know. I have some video ideas that I want to be working on, so I'm going to be doing those and filming those and whatnot. But yeah, so like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is you want to do. If you're not subscribed, I kind of loathe you because 70% of my viewers are not subscribed. What is wrong with you? Kidding. No, seriously. Subscribe, why not? I don't know. I don't really think my subscription amount matters. I think it's more about like whether or not people are actually enjoying my content. And from what I can gather, a lot of you actually do like my content. Most of the time it is my story times. So yeah. Okay, bye guys. See you next week. That was weird. Okay.